General Assembly's Open Forum.
Welcome to the New York General Assembly's Open Forum.
This is an event organized by the Empowerment and Education Committee.
This is an event organized by the Empowerment and Education Committee.
Today's theme is credit unions.
Today's theme is credit unions.
And our presenters are Elizabeth Friedrich. Our representatives are Elizabeth Friedrich and Peter Bray. Okay, so many protesters worry about where they can put their money.
Many protesters worry about where they can put their money.
If it's not big banks.
If it's not big banks.
So our committee thought it would be a good idea. To have a discussion on banking alternatives. So after Elizabeth's presentation, we can all have a discussion on credit unions as a banking alternative.
Oh, okay, well, all right. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Friedrich, and wow.
My name, do you want to do it with the mic?
Sure, if you guys can hear it. Let's do the mic here.
Otherwise we're not going to hear.
Okay, so my name is Elizabeth Friedrich.
My name is Elizabeth Friedrich.
And I work for the Federation for Community Development Credit Unions.
And I work for the Federation for Community Development Credit Unions.
I have to stress, these are my opinions. But I believe them from my experience. In 2008, we were in shock. We saw the stock market crash. The housing market collapse. And the bailout. We were paralyzed. We did not know what would happen next. But we hope for the best. Today, we have more perspective. We understand that the choices of a few have had negative impacts on the many. We understand now, more than ever, that there is no invisible hand guiding the capital markets. We also know the markets need to be well regulated. Today, we have a choice. Their financial industry functioning alongside banks. Credit unions. Credit unions offer many of the same services as banks. But with affordable and flexible terms. Accounts at both banks and credit unions are insured up to $250,000. There are three very important differences. Credit unions serve their local communities. This means that the money deposited by members it is their top priority. With commercial banks, customer satisfaction is secondary. Credit unions are democratically governed. Every member has an equal vote. Members elect their board of directors. And the boards are not compensated. Credit unions have been around for more than 100 years. They are unique depository institutions. Created not for profit. But to serve their members' financial needs. They are accountable to all other members. Not to a limited number of owners. There are over
There are over
90 credit unions
90 credit unions
serving different types of membership
serving different types of membership
across New York City.
across New York City.
There are 440
There are 440
credit unions in New York State.
credit unions in New York State.
And there are
And there are
7,500
7,500
credit unions nationwide
credit unions nationwide
with over 90 million members.
with over 90 million members.
Many provide their members
Many provide their members
with access
with access
to extensive surcharge-free ATM networks.
to extensive surcharge-free
ATM networks. Membership is based
Membership is based
on your location,
on your location,
association,
association,
and/or employer.
and/or employer.
There are
There are
alternatives
alternatives
based on the principles
based on the principles
of people before profit
of people before profit
and economic democracy.
and economic democracy.
It is your choice.
It is your choice.
It is our choice.
It is our choice.
Understanding your options
Understanding your options
is the first step towards
is the first step towards
financial stability
financial stability
and change.
and change.
Let this movement
Let this movement
be a model
be a model
for the country
for the country
and the world
and the world
to see
to see
what cooperation,
what cooperation,
commitment,
commitment,
and motivation
and motivation
can do.
can do.
November 5th
November 5th
is Bank Transfer Day.
is Bank Transfer Day.
Find out more
Find out more
about credit unions.
about credit unions.
The Alternative Economics
The Alternative Economics
Working Group
Working Group
has an information table
has an information table
in the back
in the back
being set up
being set up
in the park.
in the park.
We will have a list
We will have a list
of all the credit unions in New York City
of all the credit unions in New York City
and a step-by-step
and a step-by-step
guide on how to join.
guide on how to join.
You can go to
You can go to
findacreditunion.com.
findacreditunion.com.
There will also be
There will also be
a teach-in
a teaching
about responsible
about responsible
financial alternatives
financial alternatives
at the New School University
at the New School University
in the East Village
in the East Village
next Friday
next Friday
evening.
evening.
And I'll take any questions.
And I'll take any questions.
Thanks.
Okay.
Can I jump in or should I wait for questions?
Oh, you want to say something else?
I do.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Peter Bray.
I'm Peter Bray.
I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization
I'm the executive director of the nonprofit organization
that works with community development credit unions in New York City.
that works with community development credit unions in New York City.
Elizabeth talked about options to consider.
Elizabeth talked about options to consider.
I'm talking here about specific options that I'd like to suggest for you.
I'm talking about specific options that I'd like to suggest for you.
Talk.
I want to say a few words about how I got started with credit unions.
I want to say a few words about how I got started with credit unions.
Starting in the 1980s,
Starting in the 1980s,
I spent the next 15 years
I spent the next 15 years
developing affordable housing in the South Bronx.
developing affordable housing in the South Bronx.
We reconstructed abandoned multifamily buildings.
We reconstructed abandoned multifamily buildings.
Those buildings were all occupied by low and moderate income families.
Those buildings were all occupied by low and moderate income families.
There was not a single bank in that neighborhood in the South Bronx.
There was not a single bank in that neighborhood in the South Bronx.
One day,
One day,
a community development credit union showed up on our doorstep.
One day,
development credit union showed up on our doorstep.
They had been moving around the South Bronx for 13 years,
They had been moving around the South Bronx for 13 years.
could not find a permanent home.
Could not find a permanent home.
We gave them that permanent home for $1 a year.
We gave them that permanent home for $1 a year.
When they showed up,
They
had 700 members.
had 700 members
And maybe 900,000 in total deposits.
and maybe 900,000 in total deposits.
6 years later,
6 years later,
they had 11,000 members
they had 11,000 members
and they had 11 million in assets.
and they had 11 million in assets.
All those members came from these low and moderate income housing buildings in the adjacent community.
All these members came from low and moderate
I think that indicates the need for affordable, responsible financial services in all New York City communities.
I think that demonstrates the need for affordable, responsible, financial
Okay, I'm supposed to talk in shorter phrases. Sorry.
That's all right.
This morning I was out in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
This morning I was out in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Has anyone ever been to Brownsville? Good. If you've been there, you'll know it's one of the poorest neighborhoods in New York City.
If you've been there, you'll know it's one of the poorest neighborhoods in New York City.
I was talking to owners of mom and pop businesses.
I was talking to owners of mom and pop businesses.
A primary concern of theirs
A primary concern of theirs
is access to affordable financing.
was access to affordable financing.
I was there to tell them about these community development credit unions
I was there to tell them about these community development credit unions
and the fact that
and the fact that
they make millions of dollars of loans annually
they make millions of dollars of loans annually
to small businesses just like theirs.
to small businesses just like theirs.
There wasn't a single bank present this morning.
There wasn't a single bank present this morning.
They could have been there,
They could have been there,
but they chose not to attend.
but they chose not to attend.
And they don't attend
And they don't attend
because they don't make any damn loans there.
because they don't make any damn loans there.
So the credit unions that my organization works with
The credit unions that my organization works with
are in Bushwick,
are in Bushwick,
Bedford-Stuyvesant,
Bedford-Stuyvesant,
Harlem, Washington Heights,
Washington Heights,
one of my Lower East Side,
Lower East Side,
Long Island City.
Long Island City.
They're in communities that
They're in communities that
the banks don't want to be in either.
the banks don't want to be in either.
25 years ago,
25 years ago,
they left those communities.
they left those communities.
And for the most part,
And for the most part,
they haven't returned.
they haven't returned.
Where they have come back,
Where they have come back,
they take the deposits of residents of the community
they take the deposits of residents of the community
and they lend them elsewhere.
and they lend them elsewhere.
They don't lend them in those communities.
They don't lend them in those communities.
And you can be darn sure
And you can be darn sure
they don't lend them to small businesses in
they
those
don't lend them to
communities.
small businesses.
And they don't lend them to families in those communities
And they don't lend them to families in those communities
who need a $1,000 loan
who need a $1,000 loan
or a $2,000 loan
or a $2,000 loan
because they're desperate to get a better apartment
because they're desperate to get a better apartment
or to work their way out of credit problems.
or to work their way out of credit problems.
So I came tonight to pose a challenge.
So I came tonight to pose a challenge.
First, I want to salute all of you
First, I want to salute all of you
for being here tonight
for being here tonight
and for adding to the voices protesting our banking system
and for adding to the voices protesting our banking system
and the failures of our economic system.
and the failures of our economic system.
And the fact that it leaves 99% of the people out of the
And the fact that it leaves 99% of the people out of the
wealth of the country. So my challenge is this. It's not enough to protest. I'm here to ask you to take concrete action. Elizabeth mentioned you have options. One option is move your money out of your bank. Move it to a community development credit union. I've told you where that money is going to go. It's going to support the financial stability of families. And economic opportunities in those communities. In the brochure that I have, there's a list of those credit unions. They're easy to find. Many people who have been here have already gone and opened accounts there. So I'm asking you to consider doing the same. I've got another option to consider. It's not mutually exclusive. These communities need volunteers. You can be a member of the credit union. And you can consider volunteering with them. One of the programs that we operate with them is to help last year 11,000 low-income families to get their taxes prepared for free, to get their deposit to a credit union account, and to get access to eligible public benefits like food stamps. We mobilized 200 volunteers last year. We need more than that this year. To be volunteer tax preparers. It's a great opportunity to meet face-to-face residents in these communities. And to help them get their refund without paying an arm and a leg. So in conclusion, Elizabeth mentioned November 5th. Move Your Money Day. I'm suggesting don't wait until November 5th. Move your money tomorrow. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt for just a second.
I'm really sorry to interrupt for just a second.
We have a slight emergency. Does anyone here have any idea where the community affairs phone is? Anyone? Okay, thanks.
Okay,
So we're gonna open like a question answer train to dialogue here. So I'm not sure whether anyone has a question. I'm gonna try to facilitate the debate. So questions? Okay. So hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Mic check.
If everyone were to move their money into a credit union, what would the consequences be? Nationally and globally.
Well, credit unions are international. So if you're talking about this on the part of people, internationally, it will help the communities all those people live in. If we're talking about just New York City, He'll create stronger credit unions.
He'll create stronger credit unions.
They'll have more resources.
They'll have more resources.
They can do more for the communities that they're in.
They can do more for the communities that they're in.
And it'll send a message to the banks.
And it'll send a message to the banks.
Are you? Can I want to answer? I want to respond. Are you asking what will happen to the market? Are you worried like some sort of like?
Yeah, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like
Potential total collapse.
a potential total collapse,
We might want to support.
which we might want to
Or
support,
we might be worried about.
or we might be worried about.
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think if everyone. I think the institutions are too large.
I think the institutions are too large.
The banks, I mean.
The banks, I mean,
To collapse from people moving their money.
to collapse from people moving their money.
But it is a very good concern.
But it's a very good concern.
More questions? Oh, over there.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I have read
I have read
in the Left Business Observer,
in the Left Business Observer,
a great left-wing magazine,
a great left-wing magazine,
that
that
moving your money into credit unions
moving your money into credit unions
is a good idea,
is a good idea,
but may not do
but may not do
as much as is often claimed,
as much as is often claimed,
because credit unions
because credit unions
often don't have
often don't have
enough investment opportunities
enough investment opportunities
in their local communities,
in their local communities,
so they simply
so they simply
send the money
send the money
to the big banks
to the big banks
or to the Treasury
or to the Treasury
or elsewhere.
or elsewhere.
And my question
My question
is, how do we know
is, how do we know
which credit unions
which credit unions
are good credit unions
are good credit unions
and are very more interested
and are more interested
in the community?
in the community?
Development credit unions. Go for it.
Several questions there.
Several
Questions there.
Let me remember your first question.
Let me remember your first question.
You're talking about how do you know that they're going to invest locally and that there's enough demand?
The question is, how do we know
How do we know
that a credit union
that a credit union
really will
really will
invest in our community?
invest in our community?
And are some credit unions
And are some credit unions
better than other credit unions?
better than other credit unions?
Credit unions
Credit unions
can only lend
Can only lend
to their members.
to their members.
They cannot lend to somebody
They cannot lend to somebody
who lives somewhere else
who lives somewhere else
who is not a member of that credit union.
who is not a member of that credit union.
Okay, that's first thing.
That's the first thing.
I can personally attest
I can personally attest
there is tremendous demand
there is tremendous demand
for high quality financing
for high quality financing
in every neighborhood in New York City.
in every neighborhood in New York City.
The problem is
The problem is
the people who need that financing
the people who need that financing
don't always know about the credit unions.
don't always know about the credit unions.
That is my challenge
That is my challenge
to raise their awareness.
to raise their awareness.
That's why I was out in Brownsville this morning.
That's why I was out in Brownsville this morning.
And I make the circuit to all those communities.
And I make the circuit to all those communities.
The question about what's a good credit union,
The question about what's a good credit union,
I would suggest that community development credit unions are good credit unions.
I would suggest that community development credit unions are good credit unions.
They are specially chartered
They are specially chartered
to serve low and moderate income communities.
to serve low and moderate income communities.
That doesn't mean
That doesn't mean
that every community development credit union
that every community development credit union
is as effective
is as effective
as others.
as others.
I think we all know
I think we all know
some organizations are more effective than others.
some organizations are more effective than others.
My organization
My organization
works with the leading community development credit unions
works with the leading community development credit unions
in New York City.
in New York City.
I think they are a safe choice.
I think they are a safe choice.
Final question.
Final question.
Is there some, other than your word,
Is there some
sorry.
other word?
sorry, other than your word,
Other than your word,
is there some metric
is there some metric
or anything
or anything
to know
to know
how a credit union
how a credit union
is a good credit union?
is a good credit union?
Yes.
Yes.
If you're asking about their financial rating or stability,
If you're asking about their financial rating or stability,
their financial condition is public knowledge,
their financial condition is public knowledge,
can be found on the National Credit Union Administration website.
can be found on the National Credit Union Administration website.
They file a quarterly, the credit unions file a quarterly financial report.
The credit unions file a quarterly financial report.
That report shows up on the NCUA website.
That report shows up on the website.
A federal examiner
A federal examiner
examines the credit union annually or more often.
Examines the credit union
Annually or more often.
They are well regulated.
They are well regulated.
If you go to that financial report
If you go to that financial report
and know what you're looking for,
and know what you're looking for,
you can find out
you can find out
how well the credit union is doing.
how well the credit union is doing.
A key indicator
A key indicator
is their net worth ratio.
is their net worth ratio.
To be considered financially strong,
To be considered financially strong,
a credit union needs
a credit union needs
a 7%
a 7%
net worth ratio.
net worth ratio.
That means
That means
for every $100 of deposits,
for every $100 of deposits,
there's $7
there's $7
in reserve
in reserve
to cover bad loans
To cover bad loans
and other losses.
and other losses.
Okay, one thing, I'm sorry, I forgot to, do the signs and explain the signs, but I have a direct response here. If you have a direct response to something that someone is saying, just do this and you go next, because that's a direct response to what he was saying. Okay, so, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Sarah Sable.
Hi, my name is Sarah Sable,
And I work with Credit Where Credit is Due,
and I work with Credit Where Credit is Due,
a nonprofit organization
a nonprofit organization
that partners with many local New York City credit unions,
that partners with many local New York City credit unions,
including our own credit union,
including our own credit union,
Neighborhood Trust Federal Credit Union,
Neighborhood Trust Federal Credit Union,
which is a member of Peter's organization and is located in Washington Heights.
and is located in Washington Heights.
One thing that it is important to consider when thinking about the importance of credit unions
One thing that is important to consider when thinking about the importance of credit unions
is that it's not just about credit.
is that it's not just about credit.
It's about access to savings products
It's about access to savings products
and checking products
and checking products
that are critical for both low income and moderate income people.
that are very critical for low and moderate income people.
There are very few banks
There are very few banks
that offer an affordable way to save.
that offer an affordable way to save.
So by supporting your local credit union
So by supporting your local credit union
and supporting and putting your deposits in that credit union,
and putting your deposits in that credit union,
you're helping them to develop
you're helping them to develop
savings products
savings products
that can enable low-income people
that can enable low-income people
to build assets that allow them to invest in their future.
that allow them to invest in their future.
If anyone is interested
If anyone is interested
in learning more specifics about these types of products,
in learning more specifics about these types of products,
come talk to me after this meeting.
come talk to me after this meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, more questions? No. Do you have more questions or somewhere or thoughts or someone that you want to? Yeah.
Just an idea.
Someone that you can. Okay, go ahead.
What is my question? Mic check. My question is how I can support a credit union. When I use a bank for daily banking. Rather than for actual savings. Which I don't really have.
Sure. You can bank at a credit union.
You can bank at a credit union
The same way you use a bank.
the same way you use a bank.
We offer online banking.
We offer online banking.
We offer debit cards.
We offer debit cards.
We have regular checking accounts.
We have regular checking accounts.
So even if you don't have large savings, you can move your banking relationship to a community development credit union. And they can be your primary financial institution. We have financial advisors at our member credit unions that can talk to you about the steps you need to take to transfer all of your financial relationships. For example, thinking through your direct bill pay and direct deposit so you don't end up in any kind of trouble.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please. Mic check.
Mic check.
My question is how is a credit union different from a small local bank?
All credit unions are owned by their members. All banks are owned by a limited number of stockholders. All credit unions exist to serve their members, not to maximize profit. Banks exist fundamentally to maximize their profit.
So I have another question over here.
Mic check.
Mic check.
I was looking into credit unions in my neighborhood. I live in Astoria, Queens. I was finding it difficult to find a credit union nearby where I live or where I work in Manhattan. I'm curious as to some of the practicalities of using a credit union. So, you know, for your daily banking. Like for instance, taking out money. Like are the credit unions connected for ATM usage? So that I don't have to give my money to the Chase on that corner or Citibank on that corner.
There's no question that the big banks have large branch networks. And our credit unions have one or maybe two branches. That being said, the credit unions have ATM networks that they are part of that have hundreds or thousands of ATMs that you can use without charge. For instance, the credit unions work with Actors Federal Credit Union in Manhattan that has over 200 ATMs in New York City, primarily at McDonald's, drugstores, and other similar places. Most of our credit unions have home banking. Online banking. So you would have to investigate. Specifically which credit union is best for your needs. I'm happy to talk to you after this session.
Questions or thoughts? Okay.
A quick question. In those ATMs, is there the ability to deposit money?
Those ATMs, is their ability to deposit money?
Yeah, some of them. But not all of them. But we can get more information for you.
Some of the credit unions that are part of the network, you can deposit not necessarily not necessarily at your credit union, but other credit unions. Okay. The credit unions are members of a network. So you can deposit at other credit unions. So this helps if your credit union isn't near where you live or work.
He's correct. But not in all cases. Some credit unions are part of a shared branching network. So that you can transact at a credit union other than your own. One of the goals of my organization is to pull all our credit unions into a larger shared branching network. It's going to take some time. It's a work in progress. But the principle of putting money in a credit union is important. Even if you maintain other banking relationships. It's not mutually exclusive. Even though we want it to be.
Okay, more questions? Oh, over there. Mic check. I am curious. What does it mean? To be a part owner. Of your bank. As a member. Of your credit union.
If you're a member of any cooperative. Such as a food co-op. Similarly, at a credit union. Every member has one vote. Regardless of your balance in your accounts. The board of directors of the credit union is elected by the membership. And any member can choose to run and be a board member.
And be a board member.
That's what it means
That's what it means
to be an owner of the credit union.
to be an owner of a credit union.
In addition, there are other ways that members can participate in the operations of the credit union.
In the operations of the credit unions.
One example, they each have a credit committee that makes decisions about which loans to make. The credit committee is entirely composed of members.
Thank you. Okay, more questions or thoughts that you would like to share?
More questions or thoughts?
Mic check. May I have a piece of paper?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Several.
So we can conclude here. Okay, so they can, we are gonna conclude here. They're gonna be around. So if you have a personal question, maybe you can address to them. So Michael.
And if you want, we're
Mic check.
This is the open forum for the Education Empowerment Committee. And we invite you to join us. Our meetings are usually Tuesdays and Fridays at 8:30.
Our meetings are usually Tuesdays and Fridays at 8:30.
At 60 Wall Street. It's an atrium. And also, if you're not interested in this committee, there are many other committees that you can get involved in.
If you're not interested in this committee, there are many other committees you can get involved in.
So please join us.
Please join us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And tomorrow there's another open forum.
Tomorrow there's another open forum.
6 p.m.
At 6 p.m.
It's the theme is media justice.
The theme is media justice.
Right here.
Right here.
So be here. 24 hours from now, be right here.
Thank you.
Thank you.